humbling. Year one was humbling. There is no way to walk into this role, work with these people, no matter what you did before, and not be humble. This is the largest channel job in the industry, and you start to understand why really fast. So that's my first impression. My second impression is I have been given an opportunity to discuss with channel partners issues on a different level, because HP is such a critical part of their business. And that dialogue has matured over this year from talking about how much HP to how are we going to build new practices with HP. How we've gone from talking about selling products to how the cloud is going to influence their business model. We've talked about this year, from dealing with data centers and PCs to now talking about mobility on a level before the Palm acquisition that we never had before. So I would tell you that the amount of issues that we have addressed with the channel partners is just stunning because of the breadth of the portfolio. And our competitors will work on one element of it or another, but none of them work as many as we do. I would say my other impression is, I had made only one prediction last year, and then I predicted that the IT business would grow faster than the recession, that it would come out of the recession fast, that it had always in the past, and that IT would be one of the leading industries out of the recession. And I think that the numbers have proven it to be. I don't think there's anybody attending our conference who, if we asked them a year ago what they thought their 2010 revenue would be, would have been close to accurate. This industry is in a great growth mode, and it's being driven by a bunch of issues. But one of the most important issues is the need for information so that people can make business decisions. And coming out of this recession and going into this recession, I think a lot of people realized we need a lot more IT infrastructure if we're going to make this work going forward, so we don't end up in another economic downturn. And that's given a great opportunity to our channel partners. Going forward, I made a commitment to work on issues around operations and improve that. And I've learned a lot this year about why the problems are. What's the genesis of some of the issues that we're dealing with? And I brought in the people and brought together the people I think we need to start to fix that going forward. Because I think this opens up new practices for them, right? So especially the infrastructure folks. If you think about the cloud, you got the infrastructure layer, and then you have applications, and in between that is a number of other layers, including the platform layers and all the pieces that allow the infrastructure to work with the applications themselves. And I think there's going to be a big evolution for a lot of channel partners, and that may come a couple of different ways. I think we're going to see a bunch of channel partners start to open up practices that they've never opened up before. And by the way, we've seen this before. Virtualization was a software challenge to a lot of hardware infrastructure partners, and they built virtualization practices. And they did that because it had a tremendous impact on their hardware business. And I think as we see software as a bigger part of the HP portfolio, the software will drive more hardware. And I think that's one of the transitions that the virtualization companies did well, and they gave us a good roadmap about how to build practices. Now you have to start to build practices for your channel partners. The other thing is, I think that there'll be changes to our channel partner network, and there'll be software partners who are just software partners, right? And we need to embrace them. We need to make them part of our program. We did not have software as part of the Partner One program a year ago. We do now. So that's another big change that you'll see happening, because we have to evolve, and software will become a bigger part of it. This kind of platform that sits between the hardware and the applications is going to bring a lot of opportunities. That's why the potential Vitria acquisition is so critical. That's an example of a piece that has to go in to be able to make that data important to us. Today, there are very few clouds that people can develop on. I think it would be inappropriate for us as a company to talk about cloud and not have a cloud. We are going to be part of the provider of that service set. We're the provider of services through our EDS acquisition. We're the same thing. Yet the majority of HP equipment is actually serviced and deployed by our partners. So I think it's going to be very similar, where we'll have our cloud, and I think some of our partners will use our cloud, and I think lots of companies will work in our cloud. And I think you'll see lots of partners building clouds for other companies. This is a huge industry, and there is many, many, many ways to service it. And our objective is to make sure that all those ways are accessible through our channel partner network. Both our cloud, them building their own clouds, them building clouds for their customers, private clouds, public service clouds, meaning clouds for governments, government clouds, if you will. All of those are going to all have to be created. They're not, no one cloud is going to do all that. It's a big business. There's lots of opportunities here. I think it's very important that the CEO is well connected to the channel partner network. And I have to tell you, when one of my objectives when this occurred was to see if I could get onto the new CEO's calendar quickly and be able to talk about our channels. And I was very fortunate. Leo accepted the request for the meeting. He extended the invitation, and we went in and talked to him a lot about what this channel was in size and scope. But I actually knew something that I'm not sure a lot of other people knew. I had known that he had built channels for SAP. And I had made some phone calls to my friends who work in Europe at SAP. And you know, they gave me a lot of confidence in this, in preparation for this meeting. And I think what he's looking for is a open, candid, transparent, and frank dialogue. I think that's exactly what, and I will tell you in the meetings that he's had, he'll have his first Canadian roundtable today at noon. I think that's what the message you're going to hear. This is a gentleman who is very interested in listening. And this is a gentleman who is very elegant in his explanation of where technology is going. And the thing I think that our partners are going to get from him is a vision, a roadmap, a path. Not just of, you know, what is HP doing, but of where the industry is going. And as the largest provider of IT product services and support, we have a responsibility not just to talk about our products, but also talk about our industry, and I think you'll find he'll speak a lot more about that. And I think that's a big value add he's going to bring into the partner network. Well, some things we have to keep doing, right? Some things don't get done right away. And certainly improving operations, addressing the IT backbone for the channel are things that I suspect that we will continuously have to work on improving. I think going forward you're going to see a couple of things, and that I've asked my team to start to work on. You know, we've addressed the fact that the way we've probably tried to do SMB in the past has not been successful. We tried to get big resellers to try to get into small businesses, and that may not have been the greatest way to solve that. So we've now built SMB Central, and we're trying to find ways to attract SMB through another mechanism. So I think you're going to see things going forward where we'll try more of those. We're going to need those for things like cloud and for mobility. You're going to also hear us talk a lot more about building practices versus just selling products. We need people to build practices. We need people to build mobility practices. We need them to build cloud practices. We need them to build practices in industries like healthcare. Because if they build a practice, if they truly make investments in that area versus just sell equipment to those customers, that's going to build a longer, more sustainable business. And what we want to see going forward is our funding models, our programs like Partner Ones and Elites, more geared to encouraging the development of practices than just the selling of products. You know, finally, we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that our company acts as much like a company instead of lots of little companies. And look, we are a lot of companies. This is a large organization that was assembled through acquisition and innovation. With all acquisitions come pieces of other things that you end up integrating into your company. We have a number of BUs, really 3 big BUs, and inside EB, you have ESSN, and you have software, and you have services. And they all have their own issues that they have to address and try to go after the market. But we're working pretty well as one, and I think that theme of trying to work as one, you'll see us continue into my second year.